If you want to buy a brand new game, you can easily go to a store like Best Buy, Walmart, go in, buy your brand new sealed copy, get in and get out. But you can't really do that with, say, a game like Super Mario Bros. 3 or any other game that came out in the 80s, 90s, or even the early 2000s. And I know this seems like a weird topic, but let's remove ourselves from the world of video games and talk about entertainment as a whole. You can't go to that Best Buy, that Walmart, and still buy a brand new copy of an old movie. I mean, maybe not this old, we're not talking VHS old, but the fact that you can go there and still buy DVDs and Blu-rays from movies that came out during those generations lets you know that video games are treated a little bit differently. And nowadays, with all the information that we have about GameStop possibly closing or maybe rebranding, whatever the case, I do think it's important that we talk about the importance of having not just video game stores, but also having retro video game stores that we can physically look around and take a look at those games for the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and all of that, because as generations keep going, yeah, you have your compilations, but we lose that magic that we already lost when we lost Blockbuster. Think about how awesome it was to visit a rental place, right? But that seems like an ancient thing that many people only know about that in the form of Redbox. So in this video, we are going to be talking about retro game stores, what retro gaming is for me, plus I went to a local retro video game shop in Puerto Rico called Vintage for the Future, and I interviewed the owner so I could get his feedback, because we are the consumers. We go to the stores and we buy the games, but what does the person that owns a store, what's their mindset? What are some of the games that maybe people are buying now? What are the retro video game trends? I'm going to be showcasing that during this video. Now, I do got to point out the interview was done in Spanish, so in a rare occurrence, you get to hear me speak Spanish every now and then, but it does have full English subtitles, and I'll make sure to bring it back so we can continue the conversation going. But before we keep going, if you enjoy the videos that I'm working on, and if you'd like to support, always remember to hit that subscribe button, giving me that thumbs up, and hitting on that notifications bell. So the first thing is, what's retro gaming for me? Let's forget about the stores for a second. And for me, retro gaming has to be that significant shift in video games. And to me, and I know some people are going to disagree, I think that the Xbox, GameCube, PS2 generation, I think that's the split, because after that, we got a regular flow of high definition video games, games with online access, digital downloads became a normal thing, DLC, but the PlayStation 2 generation, even though it still did have some online components, it wasn't the normal thing. You didn't see millions of people online connected and playing at the same time as you do nowadays. But let's go over to the interview with Miguel from Vintage for the Future, because I asked him the same thing. Where does he draw the line? What's retro gaming for him? So let's check out his answer.
Para mí y para mi generación, un juego retro es un juego que tenga sobre 10 años. Ahora, las generaciones nuevas ya consideran retro cualquier consola que ya haya tenido una sucesora. O sea, ya salió el Switch, pues ya el Wii U y el 3DS es retro para muchos chamaquitos. Inclusive un juego que pues salió hace un mes, ya pueden decir, ya yo lo pasé. Y yo digo, mano, mi mamá me compraba un juego y a veces yo estaba 2 años para poder pasarlo, ¿sabes?
Now, on the topic of retro game stores, another reason that I love them so much is that not only can I browse around and check out the PS1 section to see maybe the games that I didn't play growing up, there's also people in there, people that maybe they were gamers at the same time as you, but they checked out another console. Say you were passionate about the Super Nintendo growing up. You check out the store, and I did this in Virginia and other places. I went to the store, and the other person, the other gamer, was playing around the same time, but that person was a huge fan of the Sega Genesis. You can engage in a back and forth conversation about my favorite games for the SNES, that one for the Genesis, and who knows? Maybe you can walk out with a game for the Sega Genesis because you see that passion, you see that people, and at the same time, you could have somebody that visits the retro game store because they were gamers growing up, maybe they stopped playing, they're gamers now, or maybe they want their kids to grow up playing the games that they played when they were respectively kids. So let's go back to Miguel because I asked him the same question.
Padres, como bien dijiste, que quieren que los hijos o que ellos mismos quieren retomar los juegos que tuvieron, que por error dieron en trading o los regalaron o los vendieron o sus papás se los botaron. Y en ocasiones también veo mucho nene de menor de 15 años que conoce a veces más que los propios padres de lo que es el retro gaming, de los juegos viejos, de las versiones de los diferentes juegos, etcétera. O sea que hay muchos nenes que por YouTube, por lo que sea, pues se pasa metido chequeando y averigua todas esas cosas.
Going back to the topic of kids and teens playing retro games nowadays, thanks to things like YouTube channels that do an excellent job of showcasing the must-plays, the hidden gems. I remember when I went to eStarland, which I do have a video of on the channel. That's a huge retro game store in Virginia. I must have gone in at around 11 a.m. because I was going to record footage, so I wanted to make sure I got in early just so I wouldn't be bothering any customers. The people that came after me, I believe it was a mom with a kid that must have been around 10, 11 years old. I'm thinking that maybe the mom is the gamer because I see them going to the PS2 section and I'm thinking, well, maybe the mom used to play the PS2 growing up. And what was fascinating to me is not only was the kid interested in PS2 games, I heard him out loud talking about specific games as in he had done his research, which shouldn't surprise us, right? That we grew up playing the PS1, the PS2, but to listen to a 10 or 11-year-old talking about Final Fantasy X as if he played it when I played it growing up, it's a little weird, but it is a little fascinating. And at the same time, it reminds you that we can't have that stereotype when we talk about gamers. I want to take you back to Miguel because he had an awesome story about an older gamer that went in. And yeah, check out the rest for yourself.
En un momento, una señora que estaba vendiendo un juego, yo pensé que eran de los hijos, me dijo, no, estos son míos, para que yo me voy a llevar unos cuantos, que me voy para afuera, pero estos son míos, mis hijos se fueron hace tiempo, yo soy la que juego, y la señora tenía 360, una colección brutal, o sea, y se llevó como 20 juegos, que era lo que se iba a llevar, no se llevó máquinas, y me vendió las 3 máquinas que tenía ella sola, 360 diferentes, y un montón de juegos, y yo me quedo como que, y esto todo era suyo, y me dijo, sí, todo eso, y todo esto los pasé, y yo.
I'm not the type of person that loves environments that have really loud music, a lot of people, so I don't really go to bars, but I feel like retro game stores for me are in many ways like the equivalent of going to a bar and catching up with friends. Good example, when I went to interview Miguel, even before we hit the record button, I was browsing around the Game Boy Advance and the Wii section. And immediately we began talking about underrated Wii games and catching up with those games like Twilight Princess, etc. And the conversation flows because you know that everybody that's in there, they're not just a gamer, right? Like in the broadest sense. There are people that love to play games growing up. So when you talk about Zombies Ate My Neighbors, it's like, of course, I also played that. And I think it's that common ground where people can talk about a similar topic, but they feel that passion in the process. And it's also a friendly reminder of how much things have changed. Let's remove ourselves from the actual consoles. The fact that right now I'm looking at 2 monitors, my wife is 2, we have a TV, I have an arcade machine here, I got the Switch, but when I was growing up, you were lucky. You were damn lucky to go into a home and see 2 televisions. And if you did, usually you had the big one, and even big at that time was 27, 32 inches. Now we're talking 60. And then the other one would be like the small 13-inch CRT television that maybe had a built-in VHS player. So in many ways, it's that chance to not just reconnect with video games, but that particular time in your life that will forever be very nostalgic and very beautiful for you. Another thing I love about visiting retro game stores is that it gives you a chance to see what's trending, physically speaking, because I get it, you can go to eBay, you can go to Craigslist, and I have bought games online, but there's something special about going there because think about the fact that when you talk about new games, it's easy to see what's new. You go to Best Buy, you see the movies that just came out, you see the games that came out recently, but how do you manage the trend of, oh, all of a sudden people love to collect games for the PS2? Maybe it's because a sequel of a game is coming out and people want to go back, but maybe things transition over to the N64. In my case, 2 years ago, my main passion for video game collecting was wrestling games, so I didn't care about a specific console. Instead, I focused on wrestling games. After that, it evolved into PlayStation 2 games. When I visited eStarland in Virginia, the main thing that I was looking at was PS2, and then I started to dwell into Wii because I always saw the Wii as the console that growing up, and it was all a fad, it was not all that great, yet right now, I have a Wiimote right here. It was on my desk because I was playing a couple of games that I'm ashamed to reveal I was playing because I'm a gamer. But yeah, maybe what you buy and what you're interested in does change over time, and I asked Miguel what was sort of trending in his store.
eso es algo por temporada. Es como, o sea, yo te puedo decir que hace unos años un juego se vendía a un precio y ahora se vende a otro mucho más alto. Y pasa con muchos juegos y otros juegos bajan. Ahora mismo todos los Tales bajaron de precio. Ok, al punto de la pregunta es, la consola que más están buscando en este momento es el 64. O sea, de las viejas. Lógicamente de lo nuevo, pues Play 4 y Switch son las más fuertes. Pero en retro, 64 me lo están buscando hasta más que Play 3, más que Wii, más que GameCube.
¿Y por qué tú crees? ¿Será porque primero tuvimos el Nintendo Classic, después Super Nintendo y quizá a las personas le dan la curiosidad?
El Nintendo Classic y el Super Nintendo lamentablemente vino a fastidiar un poquito el mercado y eso es algo que ha llegado a un consenso con varias personas dentro del ambiente. No solamente con blogueros, amistades coleccionistas, sino también con vendedores de otras tiendas y demás. Me han dicho, el reto se está con un poquito, Nintendo y Super. Pero el 64, al no salir un mini, se está moviendo bien y hay mucha demanda sobre él. De las consolas, juegos como 007, Donkey Kong 64, los primeros Mario Party, Perfect Dark, la primera versión, porque la segunda no gustó.
And to me, being completely selfish, I think one of the main reasons that I love retro game stores and why I think they should forever be supported, even if the prices may shift every now and then, is video game preservation. I talked about this a little bit on my personal Instagram account, Juan Velas Court. I'll be posting a link to that in the description, and I also have a similar video right here on the YouTube channel that I'll link once this one concludes. But I feel like we need to preserve games past, not just for the sake of having a video game museum, but think about the fact that if a GameStop were to close, you wouldn't have like a dedicated game store. Sure, you're gonna have your mom and pops, but isn't it scary that things like this may cease to exist, that we're going to buy things digitally, but at the end of the day, what are we really buying? We're not buying a physical product. A lot of the digital games that we buy, when you look at the agreements and all that stuff, some of them actually have an expiration date, like an insane one, like 2080, stuff like that. But the fact that they can grow mold, they can get scratched and stop working, but I can still grab them. Look at me grabbing my video games right now. I can't do that with my console, especially what if my console stops working and I'm reliant on repairing that one because I can't get access to a certain game because of licensing, it's no longer available. And this led to a very interesting conversation with Miguel where we talked about not just retro game stores, but video game preservation as a whole.
Nintendo, yo diría que para el mercado del gaming en general es la consola es la compañía que va a mantenerlo, porque se va a orientar más a lo que es los cartuchos. Los cartuchos son más resistentes que los discos. Gracias a Dios se fueron a cartuchos. Wii U no son unos discos muy duraderos. De hecho, los de Wii U son mucho mejor en calidad. Sony y Xbox, pues puede ser que eventualmente se muevan más a formato totalmente digital. Hay que ver qué va a pasar. Hay gente que sigue siendo coleccionistas de juegos y que desean que se mantengan en formato físico. Mucha gente le gusta mucho más el formato físico, pero pues al cierre de muchas tiendas, no solamente en Puerto Rico, a nivel mundial hay muchas cadenas que están bajando la cantidad de tiendas porque el formato físico está está desapareciendo un poco frente a lo digital.
So to sum it all up, if you were to ask me, Juan, what do you think we need? We need to continue supporting retro game stores in 2019 and beyond. I think that we are so technologically connected that we take for granted the fact that we have Spotify, when back in the day you had an album with maybe 12 songs, and out of those 12, maybe you liked 5. Now, if you want to buy any game, it's freely available there, and I get it, there's a convenience. I fully agree that sometimes a digital library is just way more convenient for traveling and things like that. But being able to go to a place and witness the evolution of games that you can buy, you can take home, and then you can put them in maybe a Retron or your original Super Nintendo, your PlayStation 1, your PS2 that's backwards compatible with the PS1. But you have options. I don't think the future should be digital only or physical only. I think that as we continue to keep things being accessible, that's going to be very healthy for everybody as gamers. Plus, think about the fact that when you talk about DuckTales, I was going to buy it on the Wii U, and at the time it was like $10. All of a sudden, they say, hey, licensing, it's going to go away. And I haven't checked it out in the past couple of days, but it went from 10 to 12 bucks to like 45. And that lets you know that we can't rely on digital media because, as we've seen with Marvel and Sony, when contracts come to an end, so does the access to specific video games and things that bring us a smile to our faces. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, very different, bringing the interview from Puerto Rico. I want to make sure that I'm proud of where I am and that I can give you a taste of that. So if you would like to see some more video game coverage of what's happening in Puerto Rico in this format where we're going back and forth, I take you back to the interview, definitely let me know by going to the comments section, or maybe even go to the comments and give a shout out to your local video game retro store. I think that we need to recognize all of that. So proudly spam it all down there in the comments section, your top 5, top 100 stores. So maybe somebody like myself, when I travel, I make my way out there. So if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that subscribe button, hit that notifications bell, and give me that thumbs up. And I'm gonna link you, it should be around here, the digital versus physical video game debate. Check that out right now. So up until next time, thank you for watching this video. Take care. And I don't know where I'm putting this one. I think it's here. Click that. Why are you still here?